Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. It is Wednesday, and yes, your favorite guest is on the channel, Anna Kelly. How you doing, Anna?
I'm doing great. It's always so good to be with you.
Oh yeah, and my community here at 1 Rental at a Time loves you. They always comment, folks. If you're watching this episode number 3 right now, do me a favor, leave a comment showing Anna you really enjoy her conversations and you look forward to our Wednesday discussion. Leave a comment right now. Hit pause. Leave a comment. Let's have some fun.
That will be fun.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, so one of the things I love about this channel on 1 Rental at a Time is we don't just talk about real estate, we really do this. And oh, by the way, you and I combined have nearly 40 years, if not more, of experience in this business. And one of the questions I get from a lot of new investors is, hey, how do I scale? Right? Okay, I got one, or maybe I got two, or I just bought the next one. Do I have to wait a year and a half till I save for the next deal? So let's talk about how to scale when money's tight, because I think we were both in that business, several times in our early part of our career.
Absolutely. This is so important, Michael, because it doesn't matter who we are. I was just talking to one of my students today, and I said, every single investor, no matter who you are, at some point we run out of money to continue to invest.
Lots of times.
As we grow, we find the next deal that we're like, oh, this is a little bigger. I can take it down, but it's going to like bleed me almost dry as a turnip. Right. Mm-hmm. And you get to a point where as you grow too, the banks start making you hold more in reserves. So you may even have cash sitting there, but you can't spend it because the lenders want you to keep it to be safe with your investments, especially, oh, by the way, during a pandemic, right? Yeah. They want to make sure you got a slush fund there. So there's oftentimes deals that come to me that I'm like, oh, I'd love to take down that deal, but I just don't have enough. I know I won't qualify for it. I can't spend all my money. So what do I do? And early on as an investor, and especially after the Great Recession, in 2009 to 2011-ish, I kind of gave up until I could save enough money to buy the next one. But I couldn't save enough money to buy the next one because my company was in the headlines that they were going to lay me off constantly, right? Yeah. So I was very frustrated because I'm like, I know what to do to create the passive income. I just don't have my own money in order to do it. So I had to finally say, I have to get creative and find other ways to find money. The deals were easy to find. It was the money that I thought was hard to find because I didn't have a network and I didn't know people. I was kind of on an island as an investor, feeling alone, not having this show, any information to help me. But I finally said, if I'm going to grow, there's a property that's an opportunity. I'm going to have to get creative. So the first deal I didn't have money for, I borrowed money for the down payment from my dad, and I structured 90% seller financing with the landlord. And I had read about it on a couple blog posts, but I thought no one's going to do that. And the first guy that I offered it to did it. And I went, wow, seller financing. And I borrowed my dad's money. So I essentially borrowed all the money.
Yeah.
Then I had another deal that came up and I did the same thing, seller financing and a loan from my dad. Well, the third deal that came up, I was like, I can't go to my dad. I still don't have any money. The seller wouldn't finance it. But I had someone reach out to me who was a really great friend who had money to invest. They liked what I was doing, but had no interest in learning real estate for themselves. Mm-hmm. And they said, would you partner with me on something? If I put the money down, would you run it? I said, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I happen to have an opportunity I'm looking at right now. So I did my first partnership. So that finding other people's money first was borrowing and seller financing. Mm-hmm. And then it was bringing in a partner. And what I realized that first partnership, I kind of was like, this isn't a very good deal because I have to share it, yeah. Right? That was that mindset. And I still talk to people today that have that mindset. But the reality is half of something that's going to move the needle for my cash flow and have upside is better than staying where I am and not buying it. So I structured my first partnership. And after I did the first one, I did a second one with the same person. And then after that, I said, you know what? It's so great to have partners. Now I'm creating additional income, getting to my cash flow needs. And then, okay, well, what happens if I want to buy the 100-unit apartment building? Well, I need a few $1 million that I don't have sitting around.
I don't got that.
So I had to learn to bring in multiple partners and then investors. And so, that's just different ways that you can start to scale when you don't have your own money, but you got to be willing to do it. And it's scarier than it seems. If you have a really great deal and you know what you're doing, there are a lot of people that you can serve and they're looking for you to serve them, to put their investing dollars to work. without them having to be the one that has to learn it. So learning how to do the deals gives you the experience that then partners and investors can entrust you with their money, and both of you can scale together. So partnerships was absolutely one of the best things that I ever did for my business.
Yeah, one of the things I want to remind folks, so I have this course, How to Get Started One Rental at a Time, and you helped create, what your contribution was, raising private money, right? And that's really where I think about, how to get deals done or how to scale. There's a couple of things that were important in my career, and private money was one of them. But you got to remember what I try to have people understand, and this is what I added to that section, is you don't ask for the money, because I've actually never asked for money. It's really odd. What you need to do is you need to show and document that you're an expert in whatever you're doing, whatever the city is, whatever the asset type is, because that's what I did. Even before YouTube thing, I actually had a blog called wealthbuildingpro.com where I was documenting my research in my market. And this again was in 2010, where deals were everywhere. And there was more deals than I had money by a long shot, but I was documenting what I was finding. And after about 6 months, a strange thing happened. My network, right? Again, Silicon Valley sales guys started coming to me going, hey, let's go to lunch. I want to talk to you about, because I named all my houses. I want to talk to you about the fruit house, or, this house or that house. And before I knew it, I had millions of dollars available to me, and I was doing 100% finance deals, and ultimately doing BRRRR projects before BRRRR was a thing.
Yeah.
It's document. You got to document your experience, show that you are an expert, basically show that you can find great deals. Once you show that you can routinely find great deals, money will show up. And tell everybody, right? Not just tell your dad, tell everybody. Because again, they'll call you and go, hey, I don't have time, I'm busy, blah, 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 but would you do this? Would you do this? Especially in an environment where cash is getting nothing. And we may be at the peak of a stock market. People are going to get nervous, and they're going to go to cash, and they're going to want to return. It's a wonderful time. So that's where I went first. But there's a couple of other things that were important, because I never have done a joint venture. I borrowed money and given them loan, right? Your first position loan. I've done seller finance.
That's really important. I forgot to mention that private lenders will help you, significantly too. So first, if you can find a private lender, it's cheaper to pay 6, 8, 10% than to give up 50% of a deal.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And so I love private money, and talking to people, like you said, about what you do. I had a title company, for example, that were attorneys, and I did a flip with a hard money loan, and they're like, and then I was going to do another one. They're like, why would you pay 10? We'll lend you at 6 or 5.
Yeah.
So they became a private lender because they saw I was giving other people returns, and they were willing to take less than that. And now they're a go-to private lender, and they've brought me deals because they're estate attorneys too. So letting everybody know what you do, the money will come to you, whether they want to partner with you, lend to you, whatever it may be, it does start to come.
Yeah. Document though. You got to document. You have to become an expert area and prove that you can find deals. It's not, you don't just walk in one day, say, I'm a real estate investor and I need some money. No.
Yes.
You're a real estate investor. You've done the work every day for 6 months. You've documented 17 houses. You've got to prove it, right? Whatever that prove it means to your investors. But there's other things that you can get leverage that I want people to realize. Again, in 2010, I did a 401k loan for the first time.
Yes.
Right. You get creative. You find a house. I still remember the house on Pine. I was like, I have no money, tapped out. But I just found a deal that, I'm buying under land value. And I went to my employer and realized I could borrow $50K from my 401k. I had to pay myself back interest and all that good stuff. But yeah, that got us a deal. Another one, I remember I had a free and clear car. And I'm like, I wonder if I can go get a title loan, right? Again, some of you may have more money than you think you have. You just have to go ask yourself that questions. And then finally, there's a big part of my story, which is what I call recycling capital. Right? When you're in this business, it is a long-term business, as we talked about in previous episode. But when you're in it and you buy right, you can do cash out refis, which I've done. And again, I did one that was bad because it turned into an alligator. But also, if you're in this a long enough time and you realize markets are getting a little toppy, you can do 1031 exchanges. Really explodes growth. So often folks that say they don't have capital, it's you're not, either A, you're not doing the work to attract it, or B, you haven't gotten creative because you're only thinking save for my W-2 job, and that's just going to take a long time. Often you have other accesses to piles of money if you look for it.
Absolutely. And equity lines of credit is a way that I really grew too. So I created equity through the BRRRR, buy, rehab, rent, repeat, and you pull out your cash and you refi it. And now you've got equity that you can go use to buy other ones. So you can create that cash very quickly with that method, whether you do single family homes, whether you do small multis or whatever it is. That equity generation is as important, if not more important, than the cash flow. Agreed. You want both, right? But I'd rather take equity and reduce my cash flow on that property and then buy more cash flowing properties with that equity. And that's how so many of us grow. But the other thing that most people have that we don't think about, and maybe this is a topic for next week for us to talk about, is using your home equity to grow your portfolio. Many people have equity in your home, and you've been taught by your grandparents, pay down your mortgage. The safest thing you can do is pay off your mortgage. But we live in a different area where actually having a paid off mortgage can actually stunt your growth financially, and it can actually be a risky thing to do. So using that home equity rather than inflation eating it away and using it to buy opportunities and cash flowing investments can be one of the wisest things you do, as long as you're buying safe investments and you know what you're doing and you know what you're buying and you have ways to make sure that they continue to cash flow. So equity can be a very powerful source of growing where you don't need other people's money. But even after you use that, you're going to be tapped out. I was telling one of my students today in this tapped out thing, I said, I've got 2 building projects that I'm about to undertake. I'm building more units on my own land, and I've got a big purchase that I want to make. And if I make a purchase of basically 56 units, I'm going to deplete all of my cash flow other than what I have to keep in reserves. And guess what? I'm not going to go, I can't buy another deal. I'm going to go the next one I syndicate, the next one I bring partners. If it's a small deal, I get a private lender. So you need to be thinking as much as an investor about not only how do I find deals, but how do I find other people's money? Because you're going to always need new deals and other people's money. Yes. And if you spend all your time on deals and don't think about other people's money, it'll stunt your ability to continue to scale. So you always need to learn to leverage other people, and not just their money, but their time. So whether you're using them, if you're using them as an investor, you're using your own time and skills and knowledge to generate the return and create an opportunity for them. And they're just happen to being the one that funds it. But if you want to scale as a partner, then you're going to use those other people's time and save some more time for yourself to focus on the things you're really good at. So maybe you're great at acquisitions and you meet someone that loves property management, like they love it. You could partner with them together, let them do all the property management, and you go keep finding deals, and you all can grow together as a small company, a small partnership that maybe grows and scales. So everybody's at a different place on whether they want partners for the long term or whether they just want partners deal by deal. But eventually, if you want to grow, creating strategic partnerships, whether that be with your lender or investors or partners that are always bringing other things to the table that you don't have, whether that be money or skills or time, will just continue to help you grow exponentially faster than what you could do doing everything alone all by yourself.
Yeah, this has been a wonderful conversation. I hope people, you may have to watch this one a couple of times. It's very important how to scale. What I would tell you is it all starts with doing the work in learning your market, your asset, your thing, because it all starts with the deal. It all starts with you being a trusted individual, finding the deal that is a good one, right? It's the unicorn in the pile of average, right? You got to find good or great. So Anna, thank you for this. How can people be a part of your world?
Great. So you can follow me on Facebook at Anna, REI Mom Kelly, or on LinkedIn, where I talk about more tips and tricks and investing know-how for those that are looking to scale and buy your own portfolio. And if you're looking to invest passively and you're an accredited investor, you can follow me at greaterpurposecapital.com, where we go in and we buy large apartment complexes, and we really make a focus on giving back to the community and making a difference in the lives of our residents.
Love it. Go check out Greater Purpose Capital. Thanks, Anna. It's been a great week.
Thanks, Michael.